And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Tuesday, October 7th, 1:07 in the afternoon. Temperatures outside in the low 50s across much of the area, and we should warm up today a little more than where we're at right now. It looks like mid to upper 50s across the area with generally lighter winds. And then some areas this morning saw their first freeze of the season, basically in northwest Minnesota, where I think we're going to see more of a widespread frost and or freeze tomorrow morning as temperatures area-wide drop down to around the freezing mark, even a few 20s mixed in, upper 20s in the far northern valley and northwest Minnesota. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel, and Bridgette is wearing a winter, I don't know if it's a winter coat in the studio. It's not. Are you chilly, or are you preparing for tomorrow morning?
Oh, I'm not too worried. I've been in and out like 42 times already today, so I just thought I might need a sweater today.
There you go.
But it will be a very good week. In fact, I've been visiting with our Assistant Ag Director for the day, John, about what weather and harvest is going to be like. And so far, you're keeping a decent amount of weather for us.
Yeah, I'm sure the farmers are happy with the weather we've been having in terms of harvest. We could use some moisture, and that is coming next week. But for the remainder of this week, we're looking at dry weather conditions across the area, and we're looking at pretty tranquil and milder weather as well. We're starting out the week below normal with temps in the 50s yesterday and today. Actually, we hit 61 yesterday, but we'll be stuck in the 50s today, sunny skies. And then tonight, we'll see temperatures dropping down near freezing, and freeze warnings are in effect right now north of the 94 corridor. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some frost advisories issued for the FM area as well. And then breezy for Wednesday and Thursday, but they'll be out of the south, and that'll warm us up into the 70s, about 70 on Wednesday and into the mid-70s on Thursday. And then we'll cool it back into the 60s on Friday. The weekend, though, does hold a chance for rain on a warm front Saturday and then on a cold front Sunday afternoon. So 2 shots of rain over the weekend, with temps over the weekend generally upper 60s to lower 70s. Doesn't look like a lot of precip. Right now it looks like about a quarter inch. Some spots could pick up a bit more than that. We'll keep an eye on that in case that system slows down a bit. And then cooler weather for next week with a stormier weather, it looks like, coming in as we head towards mid-month, which is next week already. So we're starting off this new LRC cycle on the quiet note, and temperatures generally above normal. So what that tells us now is the start of each cycle is going to be dry, at least for the first 5-6 days, before things start to turn a little stormier. So we'll see how these storms pan out over the next 10 days, starting this weekend and then through next week, because that will play a big role on what these storms will do as we head into the winter months.
We will. And so to tie that into what's happening locally, I'm going to turn to our Assistant Ag Director for the day, John Kelder. So, John, what does the weather look like where your neighborhood is at, where you guys are trying to combine? Where do you stand in harvest?
For us, our farm, we just finished soybeans Saturday, and then we are finishing up tillage for soybeans after the rain we got Sunday. We didn't get as much as we thought, so
yeah. It wasn't much at all, yeah.
No, it was good. It was about perfect. Could keep on going on tillage and then start corn next week, and most people in the area just started beets, so it's going to be really busy around us.
Where are you from, John? Tell us
I'm
your
originally from
background.
Hillsborough, North Dakota.
Okay.
We farm between Hillsborough and Mayville, and after that, I now go to NDSU for Ag Econ, and I'm planning after graduation in the spring to kind of get into farming and learn more about like planning, crop production, and I've been working on the farm since I was young and throughout college when I have breaks through classes, as most people do in my major. And so after graduation, I plan to go back to the farm and then maybe also get a job on the side, preferably in egg lending is kind of where I'm leaning to. I've done some internships and job shadowing with Egg Country, and so they've been a strong interest of mine, just like because they have so many opportunities. But yeah.
Now you're saying you start corn next week. Knowing we're going to see some wetter weather next week, how long is it going to take you to finish the corn? Roughly, any idea? Or about a week or so?
2-3 weeks
Two,
probably.
3
hopefully.
weeks?
I don't know.
Okay. Now,
yeah.
see, Bridgette, that's now we're starting we're seeing signs of stormier weather coming in over the next couple of weeks. So how is that going to affect the corn harvest?
Well, there's a couple of things. When we think about more rainfall, that can add more moisture plus mud,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So that's going to hamper us. As we were talking a little bit earlier, we don't think that there's going to be a tremendous amount of rain, at least right away this weekend. So that shouldn't hold us up too much. We could be able to keep going. It's if we start getting some significant rain. I'm more worried about ground travel conditions than if it puts too much moisture on the corn. We can dry corn down if we had to. If we were in a pinch and we had to take off wet corn, we can run it through the dryer, and that would help us out.
Okay.
Do want to say thank you to Cass County Farm Bureau. They are sponsoring John being here today as our intern, and we appreciate the opportunity for students to join us on air to learn a bit more about ag media behind the scenes, and then spend some time visiting with our guests the same way that we do. And for students who are interested, you can certainly email me, ag@flagfamily.com, and we would be happy to share an application with you. But again, we're going to be working with Farm Bureau for the next few months to help sponsor this and to line up more students to give them the experience, and we appreciate that from them. If you have questions today, you can call us on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. I'm going to ask Addison, our sound engineer, do we have Troy from Heritage Homes with us? Awesome. So we had Troy calling in today, Troy Mathern. He is the VP of Heritage Homes. And so, Troy, it sounds like you guys have some events this week you want to make sure people are aware of.
Yeah, biggest thing is we're busy with our active adult communities, our 55 plus communities, and there's just people out there looking for some education on what they can do. Many of your viewers too, they're looking to right size, maybe get off the farm, maybe getting closer to grandkids, kids, and we run a lot of financial options that we want people to be aware of. And we got Mutual of Omaha coming in, and they run a lifestyle loan program where many of the people that listen to your show have a lot of equity built up, and we can help show them, help educate them how they can make that equity go to work at a discount rate. So we're having an event tomorrow, 4:30 to 6:30 at our clubhouse at the Ranch at the Wilds, and we're just looking for people to learn more about how to right size at a particular point in their life.
And Troy, what do interest rates look like? From what I was looking at, I don't know, about a month or so ago, it looks like rates are starting to come down now. Is that continuing?
It is, but the cool thing about this program is interest rates really don't play that big a part because it's all based on the equity that you have. And, you put that equity to work. And the nice thing with this program is you have no more mortgage payment, because I know there's a lot of people that have worked extremely hard throughout their life. And, whether they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s, they just don't want a mortgage payment again. And that's one of these programs that helps, have that. So being able to put your cash to work and not have no mortgage payment, it's a win-win for everybody.
So, Troy, if I am thinking about moving in off the farm, there's a couple of things that I see that appeal to me. One, 8 different floor plans, so you're going to let me style them the way I want. Main floor access, because my niece said no more stairs, lady. But then also low maintenance, lawn care and snow removal are taken care of. Sign me up. I mean, I think I'm ready.
Yeah, 100%. You hit them all. And it's really that. It's that lock and leave lifestyle. We have a lot of our residents that go south for the winter. Maybe they have a lake home in the summer. Maybe they want to go back to the farm, and they want to know that their house back in Fargo is taken care of, the lawn care, the snow removal. And again, when they are staying there, you're right. They just want that main floor living, but you also have the options for bonus rooms. So if the grandkids come or family comes and wants to stay, you can send them upstairs, but it's, you hit it on the head. It's just that low maintenance. And the nice thing about it too, is we're part of a private community. So you just have built-in friends. You have that social aspect. You can meet at the clubhouse for coffee. You can meet at the clubhouse with your family and friends and go swimming. You can get in a pickleball tournament. We got golf simulators, so you can be part of the golf league.
I'm moving. I'm liking this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm watching John over here, and John at this point has graduated from college, thinking, "Hold on, I got to be how old for this?"
And you know what? This is a very common lifestyle down in the southern states, and we're the first to bring it to the metro area, and a lot of people are looking for this. We're in the grand close of our Ranch at the Wilds. We had 77 units, and we're down to our last 4. And we're actually bringing this same concept to Horace at Sunset Valley. And it's just been a hit of the metro. People are really looking for this lifestyle, and we're excited to bring this to the Fargo market.
This reminds me a lot of because I moved here from Arizona. Well, recently Nebraska, but when I lived in Arizona, there was a concept, and this is how they do things down in Arizona. And and I'll tell you what, people love it. They absolutely love it.
It is, and it's good for me, like being I don't want to say I'm a little bit younger, but me as a kid, I know that my parents, they're getting to that age now. They're part of a social community. I know they're always going to be active. I know they're going to be around people. I know they're going to have that home that is safe with that main floor living, no more stairs. So really, for kids, it's a great opportunity to take care of your parents and know that they're being taken care of too. But you're right; these are very common down in the warm states. And it's been needed up in this market for a long time, and we're excited to continue to do it in the Fargo metro area.
Well, Troy, as folks have been listening and they're excited to take a view or visit with you further, how can they do that? How can they reach out and find you?
Yeah, if you want more information about the class tomorrow and just learning more, but any information about Heritage Homes in our active adult communities, go to heritagefargo.com. All the information is there. Again, that's heritagefargo.com, and that'll navigate. We have a full sales team that will take you through it, and all the information is on the website.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, Troy, thank you for joining with us, or thank you
bet,
for joining us today. All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. So, Dean, before we bump over to the American Ag Network for the livestock update, I have a quick question here from a listener.
All right.
It says, how long does that weather cycle take to cycle through one time? Do we know that answer yet?
Each year is different.
Right.
So this last year, we had it centered on about 42-day cycle. It varied 41 to 43, so we figure 42. So usually it's between 30 and it can be as long as 50 days, but it's usually somewhere between 30 and 50 days. So by Thanksgiving, we'll have for sure the cycle length set. So we should know by then. But again, we just follow along now, so we know the start of each cycle is going to be dry, like we're starting out now, and then we're going to start turning a little stormier as we head towards mid-month. So later next week, then we know, all right, as we get a little deeper into the cycle, we'll start to see a few more storms. And who knows how the back end of the cycle or the middle part of the cycle is. Usually we'll have a signature storm. In other words, one big storm that will affect the area, and that's the one that you watch that will cycle back through during the winter and spring months to be able to tell what's going to bring the bigger snows or the severe weather outbreaks as well. So just watch what the weather is going to happen closely mid-October through mid-November. That'll kind of paint the picture of what this upcoming winter is going to look like.
Well, much more for us to talk about. And when you have questions like those, you can take advantage of calling us on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. We are Weather and Ag in Focus live from the Coral Laundromat Studios. We are joined by our Assistant Ag Director, John Caldor, today. He is sponsored by Cass County Farm Bureau. John, we have a guest coming up. What's our topic of conversation?
Very excited to talk about Big Bud, which not extremely common, but great tractor.
All right, we're going to visit with Alan Brecka on his Big Bud tractor out of Alberta after this. Oh, I feel like I should have, like a tractor gunning noise, like we're revving up an engine or something, because this conversation is going to be a lot of fun. We are going to be joined by Alan Brecka. Alan farms out in Alberta, and I found him through an article I read in a magazine talking about a restoration of a Big Bud tractor. So I told John, our assistant ag director for the day, that we were going to talk Big Buds. What was the reaction your family had for you?
My dad was really excited. He said, try to get to see how much it'd be to put us into one. So.
That's an ideal question. All right, Alan, the stage has been set for you. Tell us more where you farm and how'd you get a Big Bud to work on?
Well, thanks for having me on the show first. I farm just about an hour and a half north of the Montana border in northwest Bridgette, a little place called Picture Butte. I initially acquired the Big Bud through a person we do custom farming work for. He was a family friend, and he bought the tractor from Cardston, which is just north of the border, years ago. And he seized the engine on it, and it sat for years. So I tried buying it over time, and his price was too high. So finally, we heckled back and forth, and we settled on a price, and we towed it home last March.
So it's only been since March that you started working on this project?
Yes, just over a year. Like March 1st we towed it home, and by April 28th the next year we had, not this March, the previous March, sorry,
Okay.
March 2024.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
It's been a year and 2 months
All right, that helps
since
us out.
we completed it. Yes.
And for those that aren't aware of what exactly is a Big Bud tractor?
It's a very large four-wheel drive. It was built in the 70s and 80s in Montana, built for the plains. Big high horsepower tractors. Like they were, most the implement makers at the time had maybe a couple hundred horsepower, and these things were coming out with 400 or 500. They were meant to rip up land and cover acres in a hurry. So.
Now, how much horsepower is that tractor you have currently? The Big Bud.
Stock it came with 450 horse. So when we had the engine out, we took it to the engine shop, and they have upped it to 550 right now. But I know they can go up to 700 or more if you juice them up a little bit. So it's got lots.
Okay, so let's walk through this just a little bit. First of all, one of the questions we were talking about off air, what are you pulling with that tractor to be using 550 horsepower?
Mainly so far, it's just been on a vertical tillage machine, which is basically a high-speed disc, they call it.
Uh-huh.
So we disc at 8, 9, 10 miles an hour. It's 32 feet, sinks in about 3-4 inches, and it pulls it like it's not even there half the time.
Yeah.
And I do plan on putting it on my air drill next spring. Pull a 60-foot air drill, disc drill and big tank, and hopefully we'll get some hours on it next year doing that as well.
So there's tons of stuff that I want to ask. And one of them is, when it came to working on the Big Bud, where do you start? Like, what's the thing that you do? You drug it home. Where do you begin after that?
We drug it home. I have a very large workshop to work in, so we had all the necessities. So we basically kind of assessed it all. And the previous owner said, well, it's only going to need this. Well, we kind of made a list, and needs tires, and then we got looking into it as we tore it apart. And the gudgeon, which is the center point, was worn, and the transmission was shot, and the cab was beat up, and basically at that point it was tear down and basically rebuild it from scratch. So it was it was more than I thought it was going to be initially, but once you're in, you might as well complete the whole works, right? Get it done right.
Yeah, don't stop now.
and Alan, the first thing when he said all the horsepower, I'm thinking of Tim Allen.
You're not wrong.
Right? Yeah, right. So, Alan, how many of these are made? How many are out and actually operational?
So there's a total of 551, according to what's on the internet, of these Big Buds made up till they started making the new ones here a few years ago.
Right.
This specific model is a KT450, and there was about 34 of them made in their production run. So I don't know how many are still out there. There's probably maybe 24 out there running. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's kind of a limited feeling. So I know that Alan has one, and the guy south of him at Shelby, Montana, Welker Farms has one. So I don't know if y'all are comparing notes to each other and who did what for their restorations.
It's quite funny actually because I was posting on social media as well. I'm on X, a little bit on Facebook, and back and forth. And then people would comment on my tractor and say, "Well, I thought you were doing this," and then they'd be like, "Well, I think you're thinking of Welkers." And actually, I've reached out and talked to Bob, and they've been very helpful in helping out. And we've actually have conversed back and forth because they're doing that Big Bud 700 at the same time, and it's kind of neat to compare and watch. And actually, on the way down to Havre, we drive through Shelby to get there, and we've driven by his place. Don't tell him, but so.
All right. There are more questions to come. So, Alan, don't go anywhere. We've got bottom of the hour news. And when we return, we will continue our conversation with Alan Brecka. He has gone ahead and restored a John Deere Big Bud, the KT450, he said. And we want to make sure that if you have questions, you can reach us on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Well, if things aren't going smoothly at your farm, particularly for your technology, make a point to talk to Chris Sherman with Tech Support Farm. Chris wants to help you out and protect what you've worked so hard for, whether that's making sure no one is spamming your emails, that you have connectivity from bin sites back to your home shop, and so much more. Chris can help you. Cybersecurity in agriculture is a growing concern. In fact, I just realized I missed a conference call at 11 o'clock this morning in regards to ag cybersecurity. I believe the FBI was on it. Pretty sure I just made another list without thinking about it. So, all right, I'll follow up on that one. But the rest of you should be calling Chris Sherman with Tech Support Farm. And we have with us our guest today. We are joined from Alberta. Alberta. Did you say it's Pleasant Valley, Alan? Was that the name of the town you're by?
Picture view.
Picture. Okay. And we are joined by Alan Brecka. He has restored a Big Bud tractor. But our assistant ag director today, sponsored by Cass County Farm Bureau, is John Kelder. John, you get to start with the questions this go around.
Alan, one big question I had was nowadays, like so many tractors have all the fancy electronics and GPS systems. Did you add any like personal modifications that you really wanted to get in this tractor to use on your farm and make it easier?
Yeah. This process, we added a Trimble GPS system into it. Also, I added a second hydraulic pump to run today's modern air drills, so it has about 95 gallons of flow to it. We sound deadened the cab, put a bunch of foam in there, and added air ride seat, so it does have a lot more creature comfort, and it's a lot quieter than the stock it used to be, that's for sure. So it rides very nice, actually, for a 50-year-old tractor.
Well, we saw some pictures of the cab, and I know Addison is doing his best to get those loaded into our live stream for us today. New software over here, so we have a couple glitches in the background we're working through. But that cab is massive. I mean, is that bigger than a cab on most of the four-wheel drive tractors?
I wouldn't say bigger per se. It's just there's not a lot of the technology in there, so you don't have a big armrest. You don't have, this. It's not physically bigger, just have room because it's in it as new ones have. So it is large, yes, and it's got actually quite good visibility for how dated it is. You can see all the way around and nothing's in the way, and yeah, I quite enjoy actually sitting in it when I'm driving it.
Now, how does so we saw you pulling it away with the quad track there. How does the Big Bud compare to the quad track?
They're basically on opposite ends of the spectrum. The quad track is more new and it's got all the stuff, and it's kind of got a smaller, and it doesn't pull as hard, whereas the Big Bud is just raw power. Like you put it in gear, you rev it up, blows black smoke, and it pulls whatever you give it. So it's definitely two different beasts. So it's quite nice, actually.
So when I look at how you have that machine pulled apart, it looks like it wasn't hard to tear down. Like you've got the axle separated, the fenders. I don't think a regular quad track or four-wheel drive would tear down quite as well as that Big Bud did.
No, but they designed these tractors in the 70s. They wanted something that was reliable and easy to fix, and so you could basically tear them apart. If you need a new transmission, you could pull it out in 5-6 hours, put a new one in, and be going back to the field the next day. Like the simplicity of them is actually very nice. That's one of the good features about them is if something goes wrong, you can actually rip it out, put it back in a couple of days. And everything is overbuilt. It's heavy duty. Like the picture you see, those are Cat mining axles from the 70s, and they still make them today. They just modified them a bit, upgraded them. Transmission and engine they were from the trucking industry. Lots of parts are kind of just a general whatever they could find at the time, but it's all overbuilt. And yes, it's a couple bolts here and something comes off. It was not in depth. It's not really complicated.
Now, Alan, did you? We had a listener question come in asking, did you buy this in pieces and you're putting this back together, or what's going on here in some of these pictures?
We bought it almost complete. The engine was out of it because the previous owner had pulled the engine and transmission. So we bought it. We rolled it home as a complete unit, put the engine on a trailer, whatever, brought it home, and basically all put it and started putting it back together. Basically like an IKEA tractor.
Go ahead, John, if you've got another question. Okay, tires. One of the questions we were asking about when we were back in the weather office was the size of the tires. Do you remember what it says on those? And are they the tires like, doesn't Titan tires create one just for the Big Bud?
Yeah, Titan did, or was it Goodyear? I think LSWs or Welkers run those big wide ones. These ones are the original rims. They're 30.5 R32 tires, and I put new See It. They're a brand up here. I don't know if they're in the States or not, but their local tire shop carries them. So we threw them on, and they're radials, so they're really nice. They squat nice and low, and they look really wide, like they're about 2.5 feet wide. The tractor's just over 16 feet wide, driving down the highway, so.
we just keep laughing because if you're not following on the live stream from Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV, it might be hard to put it into perspective. And the initial pictures we saw, that Big Bud looked a little bit dwarfed by a quad track. And then later on, it didn't look so dwarfed anymore. Maybe that was just me.
Yeah. There's one of the pictures where you can see the forklift.
Yeah.
And there's one here on now. And there's one lifting the engine, and it makes the forklift look small in the picture. So, I mean, that's a 6,000-pound forklift, and all of a sudden it's next to this tractor, and now, it's tiny. But,
So have you run it enough hours yet that you've got to go back in and do any sort of maintenance or fine-tuning, or is at this point she's purring like a kitten and we're not tearing anything apart until we absolutely have to?
So there's a bad story. We took off an extra filtration system, and actually the mechanic who was working on it here, there's not a lot of KT-19 Cummins engines around. It's a 19-liter engine, so it's heavy duty type engine, and they're very rare up here in Canada. They're probably more common down in the States, but so we decided to take this extra filter off, and it wound up costing us. I conversed with Bob Welker after, and he tells me, hindsight's 20/20. It's very important, so we had to put a new crankshaft in it after about 25 hours of working, and now it's got about 35 hours on it. We put a new crank in, and away it went. Now we're good, I think, and there's a few seal leaks here and there. For the most part, it's 97% good. There's just one or two little things, hiccups here, we have to fix, which it's running in the field right now. Actually, we're using it, but come this winter time, we'll have to pull it in and do one, a pinion seal or something like that just didn't get set right.
So, Alan, you spent 10 years out of high school as a heavy-duty mechanic. Is this a little bit of a dream come true for you to work on something like the Big Bud?
Yeah, it's always been in the back of my mind. I always like fixing and tinkering and building stuff and everything. And this, and actually, he's in some of these pictures too. He's very motivated, and he's very mechanically inclined too. So we like doing this stuff together. We come over, work out in the evenings after school when he's done, and yeah, I really enjoy it. This is probably project number 3 or 4 that we've done. This is just the biggest one so far.
So when I found the article at Farm Journal about Alan's operation and about this Big Bud, it listed a couple of your other projects. Am I allowed to say those on air, the other projects you've done?
Yep, well, that's fine.
1976 two-wheel drive Chevy short bed truck, 1965 V8 Chrysler Windsor, a 1952 Mercury M1 truck, and a 1959 blue golf cart made by Electromotive Industries. Pretty much you'll work on anything with a motor, huh?
Pretty much. I kind of like unique or different. I mean, the short box is pretty out there, but the 50 Mercury M1 kind of a rare. It's only a Canadian version of the Ford F1.
Oh, that's what that is. That Mercury M1 is the Canadian version of a Ford F-150.
The F1 back was the model that date back then, but yeah, it's the Canadian version. So
wow,
I don't know how many are out there. Same thing. I kind of like these unique one-off. There's only so many out there. The golf cart actually got us started on all these restoration projects. My friend, old as well, a market. And then my neighbor happened to have one in a Quonset. So that was kind of our beginning of our sort of fixing things up. My son and I took my neighbor had a full golf cart. We took it home, restored it, and it's actually very rare. I've never seen one in history, and there's only one picture I could find on the internet or in a book of this golf cart. It's just a unicorn.
Oh,
So,
Alan, thank you so much for letting us visit today. And if anybody has questions or is curious, where did you post some of your pictures and so forth? Oh, and there's a video online right now of that big bud rolling out of the shop after 500 hours of work. But where can people go and see these things?
um, I do have some posts on Facebook. I'm on X, Brecca Farms. There's a whole story of the build up through the year. Lots of people commenting on that. And there is in the Farm Show magazine an article and an article. And hopefully you'll see me out and about in the next year or two. I'll be hopefully getting out to some more shows and parades and stuff like that in the off season. So if that works.
I'd look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you for the interview today. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate you spending some time with us today. And when we come back, we're going to do a recap of the weather, and we're going to have the coldest night of the season for some of us as we head into tonight, but warmer weather right around the corner. We'll give you those details, and we'll hit on a couple of ag topics when we come back. And welcome back. Bridgette's looking at me. I'm
Welcome
looking at her.
back, Dean.
I'm like,
Like, this is yours.
welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus 152.
So have John do this now, our
I know,
assistant ag
man.
director.
We should have John be just, hey, take over, John.
John, it's your deal now.
Well, we've got a chilly day out there today compared to what we've had over the last couple of weeks. But this is more feeling like fall out there with temperatures currently only in the low 50s, even a few upper 40s still hanging on. We'll stay in the 50s today. Looks like mid 50s, and then a better chance for a widespread frost and or freeze tonight. There's currently freeze warnings in effect north of 94. Nothing along and south of 94. That may change. The Weather Service may issue some type of advisory, but most of us are going to be down pretty close to that freezing mark tonight. So if your garden's still going, any tender vegetation, you want to keep it going, you might want to cover that up. And then we warm things up quickly then Wednesday and Thursday with highs rebounding back to 70 on Wednesday and in the 70s on Thursday.
The ever so tropical areas of south of I-94
Yes,
in North Dakota.
It makes
there
a
we
huge
go.
difference.
That one little physical barrier. Well, maybe next year then we will look at a Here We Grow project south of I-94 where the weather is so much better, apparently. But this year we raised wheat near Gardner, North Dakota. As part of our project, we custom farmed 20 acres of wheat. And thank you to Coca-Cola Fuels and Propane. They were a big part of that project, making sure that we could all fuel the project as best possible, whether it was in need of diesel, if someone needed propane, or bulk fuels. Coca-Cola would be there to help us out. And Ellingson companies, they're more than just a drainage company. If you're looking at doing some maintenance on the farm, they can dig out some of those old tile lines that need to be fixed. Maybe there's something you've got to do with some of the lines that run through your yard. Whatever the case might be, it's not just about drain tile anymore. They can do service, repair, locating, and so much more. So give them a call over at Ellingson Companies. So John Keldor is our Assistant Ag Director for the day, sponsored by Cass County Farm Bureau. And we usually try to talk about a few headlines in the afternoons. One of them was cover crop that we were going to mention. Do you guys do much for cover crop on the farm, John?
No, other than small portions of some field, we do like sorghum we had, and then we let deer come and
graze it,
and we hunted them, and but
That's
no
perfectly
no
good.
cover crop over like the winter or anything. So
Sure. And I think cover crop is an ongoing discussion for farms, depending on the land that you're going to be putting it onto, right? I don't think cover crop, and this is just my opinion, so calm down out there, but I think cover crop really depends on the field that you're going to. It's probably not a just across the board decision in many cases. But if you were going to think about cover crop, do you know of any of the websites or any places to go to look for information that could help you?
I know NDSU has done a lot of studies.
have.
I've done a few plant science classes with them and gone out to their fields for where they do plot and testing and stuff. And they do a lot of, especially with cover crops and like interseeding and what crops grow good with what crops during what seasons and what weather. And
Soil
they've done a lot of
types,
research.
All
Yeah.
those things. And they work very closely with an organization called GROW, and that stands for Get Rid of Weeds. I like that. It's straightforward and it makes a tremendous amount of sense. So the GROW website recently expanded its cover crop management page, and what it allows you to do is to be able to go in there and look for the concepts for managing cover crops. You can click on an entire checklist of items, and you can figure out which ones you might want to look at. So do you want to give us a couple examples of what you could find on that website?
Some simple ones, just what is a cover crop? Some people don't really understand the process of that, and you really got to find out why you're going to grow a cover crop if you're going to do it, whether it's get some more nitrogen in your ground, get some more organic material, whether that's soil erosion, and then find the impacts of that on your weeds. You don't want weeds just sprouting up over the winter and surprising you. Then how to terminate it, you got to plant it, get rid of it, plant your new, wheat, beets, soybean, corn, whatever you're going to get on there. They tell you how to manage your moisture regions, your characteristics for weed suppression, what kind of weeds you need to get out of there. And
I would tell you that when you're managing your cover crop, it's not just about the cover crop, the crop you're going to, weed problems. And maybe cover crop is more of a management tool for weeds than we didn't even think about before. My example to that is last night my husband came home after taking off a plot, and he said, "Hey, do you remember when I was doing some sandblasting to do some auto body work on a pickup he restored?" "Yep." And every time he came in from blasting, all that little black blasting sand was everywhere, like in his wallet, in his ears, in his clothes. He said, that's water hemp this year. Taking off a plot, he was downwind of the combine and just got coated in tiny water hemp seeds.
We have, I know some of our fields, we'd also have water hemp issues this year. And so I had to, one's right by a waterway. And so I tilled a little bit more into the waterway just to try to get rid of it, to stop growing into our field.
I got bad news. It's probably going to be right back there again. And it is tiny, tiny, fine seeds. So we are going to fight water hemp for a while, I'm afraid. But yes, cover crop might indeed be a fit for us to try to make things a little bit better there. So if those are curious about cover crop decision making, where to go for more information, you can always drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com, and I would be happy to direct you to the GROW website. But again, that stands for Getting Rid of Weeds.
All right, and that'll do it today for Weather and Ag in Focus. Want to thank everybody for joining us. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.